Hello, it's JJ DiGeronimo, the president of Advancing Women in STEM, Purposeful Women, and Tech Savvy Women. And today I'm here with Sheila Boyington. She is the president of Thinking Media and advisor to many STEM organizations around the country. Sheila, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me.
We're really looking forward to understanding more about your work. Can you give us an overview of your background and the work you do today?
Yes, so actually a STEM background I do have. I actually have a bachelor's in chemical engineering and a master's in civil environmental from Berkeley, and have worked as an engineer in the past, but have really sort of transferred my work to working in the national STEM space over the years. Worked in workforce development and then now working in STEM education, because I believe we have the ability to move the needle on where we are as a country in advancing STEM careers for our young people as well as for those that are currently in the workforce.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about that. Can you talk a little bit about your advisor roles? I understand you're an advisor for the International Association for STEM Leaders. Can you talk a little bit about where you see that organization going and what it's doing for the country and the students?
Yeah, so very excited about the work that IASL is doing across the country, because working to really feature some of what are the best practices that are going on in STEM. And honestly, there are a lot of different organizations that are doing much of this same kind of work, because our country has finally recognized very much so the need for STEM and for need for having more people that are trained in this space. You know, in 2020, we are going to require 123 million highly skilled workers, and we are only projected to have 50 million of those. So we've got a huge gap that we need to fill. And so we need more organizations and more people stepping in and stepping up to help encourage our youth to consider these great STEM careers that are out there, to move forward and moving toward those career paths. So anything we can do to really help escalate that, and that's what IASL and several other organizations I'm involved in are really trying to do. We're trying to move the needle, get more companies, get more people to understand this, put more effort into it, and encourage our young people, then showing them how great these careers can be for their future, not only for financially, which is certainly a piece of it, but also for them as they contribute to what we're doing to make our country even stronger.
I can't agree more. There's definitely more work to do than there has time, and having some standardizations that the International Association for STEM Leaders is providing is just a great opportunity for people that are already doing the work and people that are going to benefit. Let's take a little bit of a look at entrepreneurs, though. I mean, entrepreneurship obviously is a thriving culture and a thriving discipline here in the United States that has really fostered our capitalism. Can you talk a little bit about what entrepreneurs can do in the STEM space?
Yes. So actually, as an entrepreneur, and I have been one for the last 10, 15 years, and, had some success in that as well. One of the things that I particularly like to tell our youth is that having a STEM background, and really for me personally, being an engineer, going through a formal engineering education, gave me the ability for problem solving and troubleshooting. And regardless of where you use that, whether it be in a chemical plant or whether it be at, designing a new system that can help education, you use those same thought processes. And so what I kind of tell particularly young girls when I get opportunities to speak to them, which I do often, is that, having that background gives you the ability to really pick pretty much anything you want to do in life. A lot of people will sort of go through engineering and think they're going to have a dry job working in a plant and that sort of thing. But there's so many opportunities when you are. And now the new thing is really around innovation and what I call entrepreneurship, which is really being an entrepreneur in companies. Companies are needing really people who have some innovation and some ability to come into a company and innovate within a company. You don't have to be an entrepreneur, meaning risk your whole life, risk your financial future by, starting a company, because we know very much the number of the companies that fail. I'm not saying I don't encourage entrepreneurs to move forward. I live in a great town, Chattanooga, Tennessee. We're very well known for entrepreneurship. I mentor a lot of young companies, but there are the hard conversations. I'll tell them this is not a good idea. But I think that you can still take that same ability and use it within companies too to do that. But getting the formal education in STEM, in these backgrounds, really gives you the ability to problem solve and to think about it and move forward with that for, anything that you might be involved in.
Oh, I think that's excellent advice. And something that I often talk about too is that intrapreneur is really pitching ideas inside to have that framework so you can focus on the actual product. I love it. So can you talk a little bit about your products? Can you talk a little bit about Learning Blade and what that's going to do to the STEM space for students and educators?
Right. So, of course, given all of that, given our background in STEM, given my background in entrepreneurship, really we were looking at what was needed within the STEM space. I have been working in workforce development for the last 15 years as the owners and creators of KeyTrain, which is the national curriculum for ACT's Work Keys test, and along with my husband Dane, and we created that product and ran that for 12 years. After ACT acquired that curriculum from us, every entrepreneur's dream, we were given the opportunity to really follow our passion. What was our passion? What did we see that was needed? And in looking at the space out there, there was great hands-on project-based learning, a lot of things that were going on in STEM, but we realized the scalability, the ability to, reach every student, and what was needed, where were we losing kids? When we look at the data, we see that only 21% of students are actually interested and prepared for STEM. Data from ACT when you look at the test. But there are 23% of students that actually have some math skills but aren't interested in STEM. We lost them somewhere along the educational process. And when we look again at the data, we find out that middle school is really where that's happening. And that is where students need to be exposed to as many careers as possible, many ideas as they can. If you don't have someone in your own personal life that is a STEM background, you have no exposure to this. So you don't know about what potentially might be out there. You don't know what you might like about it. So, and using the technology, everybody's been talking about putting more computers in the classroom, connecting classrooms to the internet. But what great things do we have on the internet that are usable for our teachers and for our students? So what we did is created a student-ready curriculum, Learning Blade, that would actually help review standards, the Common Core and state standards with students, but also expose them to the variety of STEM careers that are out there. Again, really trying to increase that interest in STEM careers. So much so that Battelle, the largest nonprofit research institution in the country, decided and sought us out and found out what we were doing, felt that it was really apropos, and decided to provide a validation for us. So they worked with our pilots and worked with interviewing our customers, etc., and we're happy to release that they have said that we are validated for improving the interest in STEM careers for students. A very unique distinction, and we're starting to scale it across the country now. We were in 5 states first year, 10 states last year, and now we will be in 19 states this fall.
Entrepreneur's dream, and for such a great cause. Sheila, it's so great to get your story. And before we jump off, I would love to know about your role in STEM Connector. Many people are aware of this organization. I'd love to know why you've chosen to be part of it and where do you think they're going to fit in the equation?
Well, I think, STEM Connector, a lot of times you think about think tanks in DC, there are a lot of think tanks in DC. I call STEM Connector an action tank. Because not only are they thinking about what STEM is needed in STEM and how to connect organizations and companies and others, they are acting on it. And so I'm just pleased to be a senior advisor for them, as my STEM background is valuable in respect to the work that we're doing with STEM Connector. We're working on many different levels. We work to look at innovation skills, what skills are needed for our next generation of STEM workers, STEM 2.0, through our STEM Innovation Task Force work, which I'm part of. I'm also working with the Higher Education Council that STEM Connector has to really look at the best practices between post-secondary education, community colleges, universities, and employers. Who's meeting the need, and how are they doing that, and how do we best communicate to other schools how they can replicate that. And thirdly, looking at our project called Million Women Mentors, which is designed to get 1 million women and or men to mentor young girls and women in STEM. Now, when we look at the workforce, 50% are women. We are 50% of the workforce, but we look at the STEM workforce, we're only 24% of the workforce. And if you compare the economics, in STEM jobs, women make 92 cents to $1 Still should be $1 to $1, but it's 92 cents to $1 compared to 77 cents to $1 for other jobs. So lots of reasons that we should be encouraging our young girls and young women to go into STEM and to stay in STEM. So just very excited with all the work that we're doing with STEM Connector. It is a moving and shaking organization. I invite anybody that's listening to get involved by just getting our STEM Daily newsletter that's available free on the STEM Connector website. So.
Sheila, you're a wealth of information and such an inspiration to so many of us. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and just happy to be part of, part of what's going on in this country, a small part in STEM.